How long does mobility take? Whether you want to learn the front splits, middle splits, pancake, increase your shoulder mobility, do a back bridge, whatever it is, one of the most common questions we get asked is, how long does it take to get flexible? The short answer is 6 to 12 months, if you know what you're doing. But there's so much more to it than just stretching. And in this video, I'm going to teach you everything that you need to know in order to get superhuman flexibility and mobility fast.
We are the gym that teaches people how to move instead of just exercise, because we believe that health is about performance, not just body image.
Now, as I said before, there is so much more to getting flexible than just stretching. I made the mistake that so many people do, where for the first many years of my stretching or of my journey for flexibility, all I did was just basic static stretching. I did martial arts. I started when I was a teenager. I'm 42 now, and I did martial arts pretty heavily from about 17 until 30, and I developed a very mediocre level of flexibility. There's things like end range strength, loaded flexibility, passive flexibility, P&F stretching, so many different things that I'm going to talk about in this video to give you the tools that you need to know in order to get flexible. In case we haven't met, my name is Rad Burmeister. I'm one of the co-founders of Unity Gym and co-creators of the UMS, the Unified Movement System, where we turn driven people into superhumans. And the way we get such astonishing results with our members is that we've created a program that has a balance between strength and flexibility. It's very unique. If you want to know how we do it, one of the best ways to get started is to download one of the blueprints, the flexibility blueprint, the strength blueprint, or the nutrition blueprint. There's a link in the description of this video for all of them. And also, you want to jump over and join our private Facebook group where we give free coaching and do daily live Q&As. It's called the UMS Movement Mastermind. There's a link for that in the description of this video as well. You need to know how much to stretch in order to get good results. You also need to know what's too much stretching. Those are two critical factors that are going to play a part in your progress. You need to understand the difference between mobility and flexibility. A lot of people think they're the same thing. Mobility is this kind of new buzz term that's getting thrown around a lot on the internet, and there's a very distinct difference. I'm going to go through all of that in this video, so stick around. As I said, I did a lot of stretching and a lot of martial arts during my late teenage years and my 30s, and I really didn't get very flexible. I joined the army when I was 30, and when I got out when I was 34 and I started training again, proper training, I realized how bad my flexibility had gotten. So I went from mediocre to bad flexibility. I also had a lot of aches and pains in my body. So I decided that I was going to start stretching, and I just made the decision that I was going to get really flexible. I was about 37 at that time, so it was coming up to 5 years ago now. Now, for the first couple of years, all I did was static stretching, and I went for it. I mean, I stretched for probably an hour a day every day, and I did make progress, but my main focus was on getting the middle splits. I was really obsessed with developing the middle splits because I was never able to do it before. And I got pretty close, but I injured myself a lot. Just minor tears like adductor tears and hamstring tears, but things that would put me out for between 2 and 4 weeks. It was quite a frustrating journey. And it's something that, reflecting back on now, I really was misguided in my approach, and I could have done it so much better. And I believe that I could have got the results that I achieved in about 4 years. I really believe that I could have got them in 6 to 12 months if I knew what I'm going to tell you now. I had a massive breakthrough after putting together a lot of knowledge, going to workshops with really talented people, and thinking about all the lessons that I've learned. And we actually spent a lot of time, my brother Yanni, the co-owner of Unity Gym, we spent a lot of time putting the lessons, like really thinking, what are the breakthrough moments that we had that got us to being really flexible? And we actually put the 10 key lessons into something we call the Flexibility Blueprint. Again, you can download that for free. There's a link in the description of this video. But I'm going to go through 3 of the really important breakthrough lessons in this video. The first one is that I started stretching my whole body, and I stopped just focusing on the things that I wanted to get better at. So middle splits was always a massive goal for me, and I wasn't great at it. I could never kick that high without sort of putting my balance off and sacrificing power. So that was like my benchmark. I really wanted to be able to do the middle splits. And I hit a plateau where I just couldn't get any better. And after 6 months, literally 6 months of just working my butt off to get more flexible and getting nowhere, I decided that I was going to start doing some different stuff, just stretching some different areas in my body. The big breakthrough happened for me putting a bit of focus into my glutes, so the opposing muscles to the adductors. And as soon as I started stretching muscles that seemingly had nothing to do with the middle splits, but just looking at general hip mobility, I immediately dropped a massive amount closer to the middle splits, like within about a month. And it made me start to look at the body as a whole, as a system, as something that you really need to think of, you know, how can I stretch my whole body, even though so many people say, oh look, I've just got tight hamstrings, or I want to get the middle splits, or I want to get the front splits, or a back bridge, whatever it is. So that's a really, really important breakthrough that I had, is stretch the whole body, don't just stretch the areas that you want to get better at. The second big breakthrough that I had is I learned about the difference between mobility and flexibility. And there's a lot of people describe these differently. The best description that I've heard is flexibility is there's a whole lot of different techniques that fall under what flexibility is to increase your flexibility, the mobility of your joints. Whereas mobility is an umbrella term for anything that takes your joint through full range of motion. So typically stretching or flexibility training is done at a higher intensity. It's done with like sets and reps that can create DOMs, like flexibility DOMs, just like when you do a workout with resistance training. And it usually requires a little bit of recovery before you do another flexibility session on the same muscle group. Mobility, on the other hand, is done at a much lower intensity, and it is, it's just taking the joints through their full range of motion. So warm-ups, good warm-ups are mobility. Good cool downs are mobility. Whereas stretching and flexibility training is where you're really pushing it and you're really going for it. So that's a really important thing to understand, because I'm going to talk about later on in this video, I'm going to talk about the optimal amount of flexibility training you should do for each muscle group that I've found that delivers the best results. And it's no more than twice a week on one muscle group. But mobility is something that you do every day, and you do that for several reasons. You do it as you warm up and you cool down, but you can also do it on days that you don't train at all, because it's done at such a light intensity. You don't need to warm up before you do mobility training, and it solidifies the flexibility gains that you've been working on. It really just teaches your nervous system that this is okay and it doesn't need to tighten up and protect itself again. The next really big breakthrough that I had was to understand the mechanism of flexibility. And a lot of people think that to develop mobility or flexibility is about making the muscles more elastic. And that's a real misunderstanding of what's going on in the body. The muscles are elastic. They're very, very elastic. What we need to do is delay the nervous system's inhibition process. So what happens is when you go to your full range of motion, the central nervous system detects that there is a risk that it could, some of the structures could get damaged or torn, and it sends signals through the central nervous system to tighten up the muscles and prevent you from going any further. So the process of flexibility training teaches your body to delay that response. So it kicks in a little bit later, a little bit later, and a little bit later, and over time you become more flexible. Now this is one of the biggest breakthroughs that I had. It's learning to understand the difference between discomfort and pain. And discomfort is what you want. You want to stretch to a point of discomfort where you feel like, wow, I'm really pushing myself here, but you don't hurt yourself. Pain is something you do not want, because when you go to the point of pain, pain is associated with minor muscle tears or tears in the tissue. And what that does is, that tells the central nervous system that its fears were right, that it should have stopped you from going there. And what happens is when you come back to try to stretch again, you can often find that you can't go as far as you have in the last stretching session. And a lot of people say, well, how do I know the difference between pain and discomfort? And unfortunately, the answer is you need to learn that with experience. And the best way to know if you've gone to the point, sometimes it's really hard to tell in the session, like you think, oh, this is just uncomfortable, but then you try to stretch again a day later or even 2 days later and you can't get even close to where you were. That's a really good sign that you went too far. If you get stretching right, you will improve gradually but consistently. So those are the three big breakthroughs, only 3 out of the 10 that I can talk about from the flexibility blueprint, but those are 3 ones that even if you don't get the blueprint, they're going to make a massive difference to your journey with flexibility. Now that I know everything that I know about flexibility and mobility, what I find the hardest thing is not overdoing it. I find that I often will, I want the results to come quickly, and the development of flexibility is really weird. Like if you do strength training, you can see and feel the results very, very quickly. You'll get strong in a very short amount of time if you're a beginner, and you'll even start to buff up a bit. You'll get leaner, you'll start to build some muscle. You can see it in the mirror and you can feel it in the weights you're lifting. Flexibility isn't like that. Flexibility, you can stretch for months and feel like nothing's happening, and then overnight the central nervous system will adapt and it will just allow you to go deeper. I honestly mean this. I remember doing the middle splits for like 6 months, and overnight, from one day to the next day, I was this far off the middle splits, and the next day, I got touched down and went all the way down. It was an amazing feeling, and it really showed me, how true this process is. So, mobility, as I said before, I don't really believe that you can overdo mobility if you understand what it is by definition, because you're only taking your joints through full range of motion. You're not trying to increase your flexibility or mobility at all. Flexibility is done to increase your mobility, and you can definitely overdo that. So what I've found works best is pike or front splits training can be done on the same day, and I do them on the same day. Twice a week is good, always with a 72-hour window between each session. Middle splits, I find the best results from actually only once a week. Very different to what a lot of people are peddling. I've tried doing middle splits 5 days a week, 4 days, 3 days, 2 days, and 1 day, and I'm getting better results from doing it 1 day a week. Now remember, that means that I'm only doing flexibility 1 day a week, which means that I've got like anywhere from 3 to 5 exercises, maybe sometimes more, and I'm doing anywhere from 3 to 5 sets of each exercise, all with the goal to get the middle splits. And you can watch some of if you go to our channel, and I'll even link a few in the description of this video, you can have a look at some of my middle splits workouts that I do. But those workouts I've found you get the best results from only once a week. Remembering though that I still do the middle splits every day in my mobility routine. It's just that I'm not doing it for sets and reps and with the intention to try and get more flexible. The glutes, so external rotation of the hip, I find twice a week is good, but because that's been a really tight area of my body, I've actually done programs where I've been doing hip external rotation 6 days a week, but only doing 1 exercise. So just basically, I'm not doing like a full workout on it. And then I find shoulder mobility, so external rotation, internal rotation, flexion and extension, I find twice a week is best. And back bridge, something like that, I do on shoulder mobility days as well. So that's what I've found that works best. And bear in mind that when I talk about flexibility training, only doing it once a week, I'm talking about a flexibility workout. I'm talking about doing something that you have a real intention to get more flexible on, and it would take, maybe an hour to do. The way we do the UMS, the Unified Movement System, is that we do a 1-to-1 strength and flexibility ratio. So we do strength training and flexibility training in the same workout at a 1-to-1 ratio. And we get phenomenal results like that. I find that's the best way to train, because otherwise if you just put all your eggs in the basket of wanting to get flexible, you'll become weak and frail, or the other option is you become really strong but you can't touch your toes. By far, the most important thing for you to understand about this is that frequency and consistency are what's going to give you your result. So the next question that so many people ask is, well, what's the best routine for me to do? The best routine is the one that you're actually going to do. And for that reason, I honestly believe, hand on my heart, that our 18-minute stretching routine is the best beginner stretching routine that you can do. Because when you're a beginner, one of the hardest things to do is to create the habit. So you shouldn't be aiming for these advanced routines or these big flexibility routines like what I was describing, like what I do. I've been developing my flexibility training for years now, and it evolves. And when I started, we created the 18-minute stretching routine as something that we could do every day. Now, when you get the program, there's a tutorial that teaches you everything, and then there's a follow-along 18-minute version, which is done at quite a fast pace, obviously, because it's an all-over body routine. But then we've got a slower-paced 46-minute version, so you can do it at whatever pace you want to. But it is an amazing routine, and if you are a beginner and you want to really level up, you know, getting information like this off YouTube is really, really good. There's a lot of great stuff out there, but it is the best YouTube tutorials are nothing like what a really well put together and packaged program is, like our 18-minute stretching routine. So if you really want to get serious about it, I highly recommend that you grab it. If you get the flexibility blueprint, you'll be taken to a point where you can purchase it, and if not, there's a link in the description of this video. And then if you feel that you do want to go to the next level, then you can get our mobility masterclass, where we start doing things like end range strength and PNF stretching, which is proprio-neuro-facilitator stretching, loaded stretching. There's a lot of different techniques in there. It's a great program. It's taught a lot of people around the world how to get their front splits, middle splits, pancake, back bridge, a lot of really cool things. And yeah, look, I mean, ask any questions that you want. If you really want to connect with me and my team, the best way to do it is to join the UMS Movement Mastermind, the private Facebook group. That's where you can post videos of yourself and ask for feedback. And also where we go live daily for Q&A. So that's a really good way to do it. Otherwise, just put a comment in this video and I'll respond to it. And until next time, thanks so much for watching. If there's any videos you'd like me to make, let me know in the description and I'll get around to it as soon as I can. Hey, thanks for watching that video. If you liked it, consider subscribing to our channel and make sure you click the notification bell so you know when our weekly videos are uploaded. Now, the best thing for you to do if you want to stay connected with us and get free online coaching is to join our private Facebook group. It's called the UMS Movement Mastermind, and we go live daily where we answer our members' questions. It's very interactive because you can post questions while we're live and we interact with you on the show. You can also upload videos or pictures of yourself with any movements, any stretches, strength training movements, calisthenics, weightlifting, anything that you're struggling with, and we'll critique you, give you feedback, let you know how you can get better. It's a really valuable resource. It allows a lot of communication with us and also our senior tribe members. You'll get answers very, very quickly, and it's absolutely free. So jump on Facebook, search for UMS Movement Mastermind and join now. Until next time, have a great day.